Hey guys, Alicia here with Working Dog Radio, Torchlight Canine, and Oil Capital Canine Fund. I'd like to say thank you guys for listening to us for the past 6 years. That would not be possible without you and without our sponsors. We want to say thanks to Ray Allen Manufacturing. They've been a longtime partner of ours. They're friends of ours. We do equipment with them. We use their equipment every day. Ray Allen, the letter K, the number 9 on socials. Ray Allen Canine. Please check them out at rayallen.com. Everybody wants to feed their dog well, and if you're feeding them kinetic, you are. It takes the guesswork out of it. They've got some new supplements coming, some new flavors coming. We're going to have some previews for you. Please tune in for that. kineticdogfood.com, 513-615-6904. Check them out. American aluminum products save dogs' lives. All of our officers use their canine inserts. They also make some really nice rad crates and a lot of other things, including training aids. Check them out. American Aluminum Accessories on the socials. You can call them toll free, 800-277-0869, or email them for a quote at quotes@aaa-mail.com. Horizon Structures is a one-stop shop for your dog kennels. If you guys are serious about this and you're getting into it, you need space for dogs, give them a call. 888-447-4337. From mild to wild, let your imagination go. They can make it and drop it off at your door. Horizon Structures. And we would really like it if you guys would follow us on our new YouTube, Working Dog Radio YouTube. You're going to be able to see our pretty faces. You're going to be able to see our ads and our guests. We're going to have some really cool training videos. We're going to release podcasts earlier in that avenue. So please join us on our YouTube. We really appreciate you. Thank you for listening.
All right, everybody. Working Dog Radio. We are back broadcasting the bite. It is July 2nd, I believe.
Yeah.
Recording this episode on July 2nd. My name is Eric Stammer from Ohio. With me, as always, is Ted Summers from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Ted, what is going on?
It's hot still. We had like the hottest day in 3 years, like 3 of them back to back. And then the $20,000 air conditioners in the kennel froze up yesterday. That was fun. Yeah. So I was on top of that rickety ass ladder, getting up there and turning that bitch off so it would melt down. It was rough. It's hot. So I've been able to keep the kennel at like, I don't know, 77-ish, which is fine. I mean, it's no big deal. It's nice in there. When it's 177 outside, it's ridiculous. It's hot, super hot. So other than that, I'm just getting ready for this next handler school. I've got an HRD between now and then in Minneapolis. And then I'm going back to South Carolina for something with some other guys. And then I have another HRD in Philly in November. And then right after that, I'm going to Bulgaria, the country, which should be interesting. We've got a project we're working on with some people over there. Alicia and I do. That's dog related.
Who's your beneficiary?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Bulgaria is safe. Alicia was just over there. She was there for like 2 weeks.
She's a chick. So.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I'm a tattooed fucking white boy. So yeah. They're like, oh, what's up, bro? They're not like, it's not like Ukraine. There's not a bunch of Russians there or anything. So one of my friends is in Ukraine. Well, so Rudy, like one of the guys that has one of our dogs, went over with an explosive dog who has done great. And he was like, you should come over. I'm like, no. And one of my other buddies, Jason Perry, he lives in San Francisco now. He's from Tulsa, but he's been going over and delivering ambulances. And he's like, no, it's not that bad. And everything I see on Instagram from him is like shit blowing up and his phone doing like Amber alerts, but it's like incoming missiles. And I'm like, nah, I'm okay.
Dude, I'm afraid of drones now. Those videos made me afraid of drones.
So there's been some talk recently of some other dogs over there that are kind of doing what Duke was doing. And the Russians are chasing them with drones.
Really?
Yeah, it's because they recall the dog and they're like, oh, we'll just go find out where the dog goes back and fly the drone into it. So it's been it's been interesting to say the least. Duke hasn't been back over, and I don't think he's going to, unfortunately, for obvious reasons. But what have you been doing?
Well, my wife and I took my dad for his birthday to the NHRA event.
Oh, I saw that.
About an hour and a half away from here. I haven't been to drag racing in a while. I really like it. So it was all the pros, all the Top Fuel and the Nitro guys and everything. But there was a drone flying right over top of the start line each time. And I swear to God, I found myself watching that drone like, what are you fucking doing? Are you going to drop something on one of these trucks to blow up?
Birds aren't real.
Right. So
birds aren't real.
We had a good time, but today I had a group of guys up at the fun house working some explosives and some obedience. And I have a handler who's a buddy of mine who they bought a dog from me a while. It's been like 2 years. He went through class, graduated, was out on the road for a short period of time. Then the handler tore his tricep muscle and was off for 9 months. And it's like, this scar is huge, man. So he's just coming back. Well, the dog hasn't done shit for 9 months. So we're doing like a refresher week for him. Dude hasn't skipped a beat. We brought our friend Travis Lloyd in yesterday, and then he's coming tomorrow to do just work grip stuff and make sure the dog's where he's supposed to be and biting. And then today we did detection, dude. We were like, I don't know, it's been 9 months. What's he gonna do? He fucking rocked it, dude.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike.
It's funny how that happens. Yeah.
When you train them right, it's like my old ass dog Leck downstairs. He turns 14, and I'm working on. I got 2 bomb dogs in this next class. And I had RDX out, and his old ass went and sat down on odor, and I was like, "Well,
good,
okay." I mean,
still has fun with it.
Yeah. And then my other handler was standing there with a hamburger, and I threw a Kong at him. He's like, "No," and went over and started mugging Justin for a hamburger. He's like, "Bro, what do you got?" And he's like, "I sat, pay up." So yeah,
pay up, bitch.
Yeah.
Other than that, I. Not much, doing the pet stuff. And so like I get done it there. I have to fly up to the pet thing. I had a lesson with somebody today, and just, it's then they give me a list. They text me a picture of a list. Shit Eric needs to pick up at the store. Odoban and bleach and 2 trash cans and this and that. And I'm like, okay. So get to go do that and then hop in and help out here and there. So, but yeah, it's going along. Also, listen, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're not, you need to go to YouTube. So we started using a new recording software that is way better than what we used to use. The video quality is amazing. We have an editor that's doing great editing on it. So we're putting up all these episodes on YouTube. Go there, do us a favor, watch this stuff on YouTube, and like and subscribe. Please go like and subscribe Working Dog Radio on there. Would really appreciate it. We're going to say that every single episode, just so you know, but we could really use that. And these podcasts are not cheap, so that helps. It's funny is people are like, man, you guys got a lot of commercials. Yeah, that just pays for shit. You know what I mean? You must make a ton. No, I had ramen noodles yesterday. So
I'm at my upstairs office, and you're in your bedroom.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
So,
I think
we're not flying to Oklahoma every month.
Exactly. It's an interesting concept because this podcast has been around for quite a while, and it's been around for long enough that when we started it, video stuff was super expensive. Video editing was super difficult. Their equipment was super expensive. The hosting was super expensive. All that shit was super expensive. Also, nobody wants to see me. But here I am.
That is the downside of YouTube. You do have to look at
you get to fucking look at me. So we never really intended for it to be like a video version, but the way things are and technology catching up, here we are. So speaking of
here, we got today.
Well, as I was about to introduce, so this is one episode that I've wanted to do for a while because of the content, and I happened to find a handler, and it's actually been difficult to find somebody that handles one of these dogs because the civilian side I found, but they're only run by some insurance agents, and nobody wants to talk to me. I don't know, like the DEA and the ATF talk to me, but like they don't want to talk to me. The insurance companies don't want to, which is odd. They're like, we can't do it. So tonight, from down near Austin, we have Ryan Smith. Ryan, how are you?
Doing good. How are y'all?
Good. Before we get into Miss Ember, give us a little bit of your background, how we got into dogs. Tell everybody that are you a firefighter or you're a fire marshal?
I'm everything. I'm a firefighter, fire marshal, police chief, fire chief.
So I saw. No. So I was super confused because I looked at your Instagram, which is canine.ember, by the way. I saw you had a gun, and I'm like, what the fuck does this dude do? Like, you're on a fire truck and you got a gun. I was like, dude.
Well,
And then
Our
I,
fire marshals are
truck
armed.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, then I saw you were in
in
Texas, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
okay. I was like, it's in Texas,
Yeah.
so it
So
kind
we are the majority of us are peace officers as well. So we went through full police academies and such like that. So we have arrest authority and everything like that. So just as a police officer running in a patrol vehicle, we have all the same powers that we do fires and investigate fires and have that behind us. So
Interesting. I did not know that. So that explains the gun. Like, I was like, why is this dude carrying a Glock? Like, what is? And then I was like, oh, it's Texas. I was like, they probably won't. So they're like, oh, it's a fire department. They don't care.
so we have a police department inside of our fire department as well. So
Really?
yeah. So we're a Texas Commission on Law Enforcement Agency police officers, police department.
Interesting. So anyway,
That's a first.
Yeah,
We haven't had
that's
that here.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. So give us a little bit of your background, like how you got to where you're at before we get into Miss Ember.
Oh, well, it's pretty boring, but I'll tell you, started firefighting straight out of high school. Wanted to be a firefighter and a police officer. My whole family's basically police, and I have one or two that are fireside. Was going to follow in my father's footsteps and do the police route right off the bat, but I decided to go with fire because I like putting the wet stuff on the red stuff and driving the bigger trucks. So did that and, started volunteering, went through the academy, firefighter, worked my way through that. Did engineer, which is a driver position for that. Lieutenant, captain, kept going. Then was like, well, I want to do the investigations portion. And that was really basically like a jigsaw puzzle all the time. So in order to, I guess, master that, I was like, well, I want to be the best I can be and have the best range and options for me. So I ended up going through the police academy as well. So, and that was about 6 months, Monday through Friday. So I put myself through that. And prior to that, I had 2 other dogs, search and rescue dogs. Both German Shepherds, and helped out with the county and such. So that was fun. Totally different than Ember. She's a Mao. So the drive, as you'll know, is totally different between the two.
Yeah.
So kept going through that. Police academy, then fire marshal appointed through the district as fire marshal. During this time, in around 2010, I was appointed the fire chief of the district. Kept running the fire marshal office, and then wanted to get another dog for accelerants due to the fact there's not many in the state of Texas. There's about 18 in the state of Texas.
There's not many in the country.
No, and it's a like a niche, man. And it's you turn your head every time I see a police department, they got 2 or 3 dogs, and you're just like, man, there's all these dogs, and I bring Ember out, and they're like, well, how hard's her bite? I'm like, well, she doesn't bite. She just lifts things and sits down,
Fucking fire dog that bites.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I wrote a grant through Canines for Cops.
Oh,
they
nice.
Give assistance. I'm sure you've heard of them. I know.
Oh yeah, we've had
Christy.
We've had Christy on the show, and where'd Ember come from? Down in Houston?
No, in Pace Setter. So
oh,
she
okay,
was
Brad.
From Poland through Brad. So
yeah.
Great place in Pace Setter. So I wrote a grant. I got about to month 10 and a half out of a 12-month grant period. I got picked up by a sponsor, a lady out of Texas, paid for her through our organization, was able to do the training for her, was able to interact with her prior to being assigned to her, I guess specifically for the class. So I had a lot of interaction with her for a few months prior to that. And I'd say the rest is history. I know I say that it sounds so simple, but it's a lot of work for her, but definitely worth it.
How old is she?
She's 3. She's 3, turned 3 in February.
So the interesting thing, and Ted, I don't know what it's like over there. There's some accelerant dogs here in Ohio, and nobody here will do a Mao, man. They're all just floppies, and I don't get it.
So when I was talking with Brad, because usually they're pub ed dogs too. So and that's when I talked with Brad at Pace Setter, I said, I'd like to really try to get a floppy eared lab so I could do more pub ed. And so he's like, okay, well, we'll look into that. And he came back and he's like, found you the perfect dog. And I'm like, yes, I get me a floppy eared lab. He's at, pointy eared Mao. And I was like, oh no. And he said, she's the gem, man. I'm telling you. And I was like, well, here we go. And I probably wouldn't I mean, not probably. She's down here laying on the ground, but I wouldn't change it for the world now. This dog is my partner for life.
When you get a good one like that, especially I have one right now. I have a little male named Esky who he's super social, and he's like 35 pounds. He's tiny, and he's going to be single purpose narcotics. But I mean, same thing. Like kids can play with him, and you can pet him. You can play tug with him. I don't think he'd bite anybody if he had to. He looks like a police dog, like a big, scary, gnarly dual-purpose dog. Oh, well, not big. He looks like a regular Malinois. He's tan, a little black face, and he's fast as a snake too. God, he's fast. But yeah, when you find good ones like that, and I've got several other ones we got on the one doing it through our 501 journey. She's down south near Texas. Single-purpose narcotics. That is a great dog. I got another one named Judge, and they're all super social and like to be petted on, and they're not like my dickhead patrol dogs that are just looking to destroy anything and everything they can find.
Yeah.
So
That's for sure.
Tell me a little bit about like how. So your last two dogs were search and rescue dogs, and so you became an investigator after going through the academy and as a fire marshal. So how did the accelerant dog? I know, like you said, there's 18 in Texas. If we have any in Oklahoma, I'm about 100% certain they're owned by the OSBI, or it would have to be Tulsa or Oklahoma City, like FD. And I know the handlers from TFD, and they're all task force guys and girls. Sorry, Shelby. One of the handlers is a female. She's awesome. Her name's Shelby. And then the Oklahoma City guys, I want to say none of them are accelerant dog. They're all live or dead find. And I don't know of any in the state actually, other than there's a State Farm agent or a State Farm investigator guy, an insurance investigator that has one. He's also an engineer, which is a weird story. But so how did this come about? Like, was there several incidents that happened? You're like, yeah, I wish we had this. Okay. So perfect. Yeah. Tell that.
So yeah, there were the need arises. So what basically we would fall back to was the state of Texas. They do have ignitable liquid dogs. So TDI, Texas Department of Insurance, they have an investigations division for arson. So they have dogs spread out through the state. But you look at our state, and if you only have 5 dogs spread out there, and you're waiting sometimes days at a minimum. I have one that was pretty close to us. He's a few hours away, but you're sitting on a scene 6 to 12 hours, or you're leaving and hoping that you can get back in with an admin search warrant. But then now you've broke the chain of custody of the site that you're working on. So I wrote in the grant was to be utilized as a regional asset. So we have agreements with 5 counties and 19 departments, including police departments. She does have an odor imprint of gun parts and smokeless powder too. So we do find guns, ditch them, that are stolen, or shell casings in a field. She'll find that no problem. So Canines for Cops, we found the need for that locally as well, and wanted to get that imprint and asked them if that would be available, and they said absolutely. And within a day, artist found a gun buried in the ground, actually under a tree from a. Well,
it's because they grow in Texas. That's why. That's where guns grow. I mean, that's how you find them. They're farmed in Texas.
Yeah. So we identified the need in our grant, and it's been hit the ground running with a lot of cities and a lot of municipalities and other districts to be able to utilize that. Whether they suspect it or not, we try to run her through everything so she gets that exposure to the fire. I know health, we can talk about that later, but health people are like, well, she's breathing in all that stuff, but I get her checked a lot, but always having her available for everybody to use, that's been a plus and very rewarding for ourselves and Canines for Cops and our sponsor.
A lot of the fire marshals and fire departments here in Ohio, there's some with accelerant dogs. There she is. Yeah. Are explosive detection dogs. Do you find that a lot with the marshal services?
There are some fire departments that do explosives and a live search just for lost people, but I don't do much with explosives because I think they're on 21 or 27 odors. Yeah, that takes a lot. Ember's on 14.
I was about to ask, that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask: is how many odors is it?
It does take a lot, and it's a lot of odors. Your normal distillates, still your light to heavy distillates. So, but back to the explosive stuff, I don't do much with them because I try to get to people that I can get around that train in her aspect, so we're not putting out all this stuff. I mean, these dogs, they get bored after not doing something for so long, and they're just like, I gotta go work, I gotta work. And with all those, that niche, I'm not really that close with.
Yeah, a lot of them work. Their theory is they're going to work post blast with the dog. I don't know how much work they're actually ever going to get. They're more likely to do sweeps and things like that with it, rather than there's not a assload of explosions here in Ohio for them to have that kind of work. So, all right, we're gonna take our first break here. If you were on the YouTube, you got a quick little glimpse of Ember. If you're wanting to know real quick, like his social media, check out canine.ember on Instagram. There's some really good pictures there. There's a picture, I was just looking at it, of her laying down holding like a pink kind of toy, like a pink ball toy. Dude, that is a great picture, bro. Like, she's gorgeous. Like, her colors are really cool. She's got ears where she could hear you from a mile away, but
yeah, she got the Dorito chip ears. Yeah, she got the
yeah. But she's really cool looking, man. So, and there's a drone, you fucker. See,
she's chasing a drone. I saw that.
Now I'm gonna dream about that picture with the drone.
Oh, she hates the drones, man.
Yeah. All right, so we come back. We're gonna talk about the training and kind of some stuff like that. I'll share a little experience of mine from back at the police department, and we'll deep dive into like what Ember's work is, what it looks like. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to us for the past 6 years. It would not be possible without our sponsors. And one of our longest time sponsors, in fact, our longest time sponsor, is Tactical Police Canine, Aaron and Jason Ferguson. They are amazing. They've been amazing to us, and they are amazing to this industry. They have a new online series that is for law enforcement only. And law enforcement guys, you know how important it is to keep up on your practices and your education. This one is for you. It's a canine criminal interdiction series, and it is literally for you guys to expand your knowledge on canine usage during traffic stops and interdiction work. It's going to cover things like roadside interview techniques, identifying traps and hidden compartments, related case law and record keeping strategies, you name it, it is in this course and you need to have it. If you go to their website, tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com, and you use their discount code NARC, all caps, you will get 20% off any of their online courses. Check them out. Dogtra. We use so many Dogtra products that it's hard to even tell you where we begin. All of our canine get a Dogtra e-collar. We use the 1900 black, and all of our pets get a 200C. All of our canines use bark collars. We have their ball training systems. We've even bought a quail launcher from them. We use bungee collars. You name it. If it goes on your dog's neck, we get it at Dogtra. Dogtra has been great to us through the years. We love their sponsorship. We love their products. I order them every single week. If you go to dogtra.com, you can use the discount code WDR10. You'll get 10% off a single item over $200. You can also check out Dogtra Official for their socials and follow them there and see what other products that they're coming out with, because they innovate every day. Dogtra.com. RecSpecs Canine. I'm so excited that these guys came aboard. I stalked them for years. Yes, I did, and unapologetically so. They make amazing products. I love nothing more than seeing a tiny little Chihuahua wearing the googly eye RecSpecs. But they don't just make fun products. They make serious products that actually help dogs. These RecSpec goggles have a UV rating of 400. They keep the UV rays off of your dog's eyes. They also protect your dog from getting debris, dust, dirt, sticks, seeds, rocks, anything in their eyes. And then something that Ted and I use at the kennel every single week without fail is RecSpec's Ear Pro. You slide it over the dog's head. It's easy to use. And most importantly, it actually protects your dog's hearing. You guys can check them out. If you have a search and rescue dog, a pet dog, an active dog, a service dog, a hunting dog, go to rexspecs.com, check out all their products. Rexspecs Canine on the socials. If you use Working Dog Radio, all lowercase, on their website as a discount code, you will get 20% off. American Aluminum has been in business since 1992. They have been making so many things for law enforcement. It is not even funny. They make great things for the canine industry, such as canine inserts that actually saves dogs' lives in wrecks, and much, much more. I don't know if you guys listened to the episode on Canine Corporal, but please do so. It is an amazing episode that really talks about the value of what their products do. American Aluminum makes things that you might not even know that they make, like inmate transport systems, canine training aids, canine inserts, contraband containment, animal control systems, and the list goes on. American Aluminum makes great products here in America, and it is a fantastic company to get to know. You can call them at 800-277-0869. You can get a quote if you go to quotes at aaa-mail.com and ask them for a quote. They will be glad to oblige. Please tell them that we sent you. Arno at ALM Canine Equipment has been one of our longest time friends. 13 years ago, Arno made a suit for Ted. We call it his Whoopee, and he still has this suit, and it is still the only suit that he wears. We have had this thing re-sleeved about 6 times. It's ridiculous. It smells like a dead body, and he wears it all the time, much to my chagrin. But it is just a testament to how amazing of a product that Arno makes. He comes up with his own color combinations. You can get something custom. He hand sews it. Reach out to him at almcanineequipment.com. Check him out on Instagram at almcanineequipment. If you guys need a canine containment system, otherwise known as a kennel, if you need one or you need many, you need to reach out to Horizon Structures. Horizon makes anything that you can think of, from mild to wild. You can customize their kennels from the ground up. And the best part is, when they are done, they will drive it to your location. They will set it on your pad, and you plug this thing in, and it is ready to add dogs to immediately. Anything that you can think of in a kennel, Horizon Structures can make it happen. We've seen them. They are beautiful. If you go to Horizon Structures and check them out on the socials, if you can call them 888-447-4337, or check them out online, horizonstructures.com. They always have something cool going on. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned. We have so many amazing things happening.
All right, everybody, we're back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. Eric Stambro and Ted Summers with our friend Ryan Smith. The ignitable liquid detection dog, Ember, out of Texas. He's also an ambassador for Canines for Cops and Canines for Kids. We'll get into like website stuff and different things like that. He's involved in a lot of stuff. The first person that we've ever had that's a fire chief, a fire marshal, a police chief. If you're watching on YouTube, I think that is a full beard, even though it looks like a badass fucking mutton chop thing going on there. But I think your chin is a little lighter colored, a little blonde, maybe.
Yeah.
So I promise you, yeah, dude, you look like
that's where mine comes from too. Yeah.
I was like, this guy looks like he sings Ace of Spades. What was that guy's name? The song Ace of Spades. Lemmy, yeah, he looks like he had that.
If you're watching this on YouTube, like the confusion on my face, because I'm like, how do you not know who Lemmy is? But
I have a brain injury. Fucker, I can't remember. So anyways, back in the day, so I was a full-time trainer at my police department. So all I did was the dogs, and I'm sitting there one day, and the chief of police calls my phone, you know, it's funny. The chief calls you like, fuck, what, guilty conscience. Like, what the fuck did I do? No, oh no, I haven't done shit. So then I answer, what's up? And he's like, hey, I just had a meeting with the fire chief and he wants to know if you could train an accelerant dog. And I said, well, I have to do some research and stuff. Odors. Sure, I could teach it, but I don't know. I don't know what odor. I just have to look at it. And so I called a buddy of mine named Ron, who's a state fire marshal down around the Columbus, Ohio area. Ron's a real good dude. He runs an explosive detection dog. And he said, dude, he goes, listen, you don't want to fucking do that. He goes, you have to become a kind of a mini chemist. And he said, State Farm and some other insurance company has two, like in Maine and Alabama, I think are two places. And he goes, just tell them to go get a free dog from them dudes. And I think they did. I don't know that they ever got to use the dog, but so I called the chief. I said, I guess it's pretty difficult. And then he started telling me, and I don't know if I got this right, but he started telling me, like, you have to be careful, like what bowls you use to feed the dog. And there's so many things in your house that you have to be careful of. And those guys are all doing food reward dogs. And we'll talk about that here in a few. But what was that like? Is that true? Did you have to kind of like really start to learn like fucking chemistry?
Yes. So if you're to make certain portions of the odors that she is to detect, you do have to expose certain ones. I mean, they're all available online. I just won't go through them all, but you have to expose some of them to light for X amount of time, like extreme heat, but that where they don't catch on fire. And then other ones are just exposed to open air and they evaporate. So you're getting partially evaporated odors in there. So it's basically one odor is 3 times. So it's like the full potency, the 50% potency, and the 75% potency or down to 25%, but 75% evaporated. So you do have to start messing with what you do. I mean, a lot of it is your common over-the-counter items, your Home Depot or Lowe's stuff under your kitchen sink type of thing. But yeah, you do. Now, I'm not a food reward, so Ember is play reward. So a little bit different with bowls and stuff like that. That has to do with, the coating and stuff they put on the bowls. She doesn't do that. But now you're saying when you're being careful doing things, she has a word that she uses for searching, but, as dogs, they do not shut that stuff off. So walking through a parking lot, if an odor from that car or something somebody has dropped on the ground, she starts doing, the change of behavior, starts going towards it. I tell her, good girl, and we walk off. So she's not rewarded as that, that we were working, but that she's, yep, that's good. And we keep going. Now, the reverse of that, you have her on an odor when you actually give her the word and you call her off. She's basically now disregarded that odor for a day or two. And you have to like train her back on that odor. I've made that mistake one time in training, and I know the training aid was right there. And I'm like, man, I can't get her to hit on it. So change the location, put it back out, and basically is like training her from green again and getting her back on that odor. I mean, it takes not very long to get her back on it, but you basically told her no when she was walking by it. But that's, you do have to be careful of that. I mean, I've walked past cars. She's beeline to the car and went underneath the car. Like, oh, okay, let's go. And it's, especially with the gun parts and the smokeless powder, walking through somewhere, as y'all know, with those types of dogs, it's bam, straight to a backpack and alerting. And you ask that person, please tell me you have a handgun in there. Because the other ones, I don't need them to have those other 14 odors in there, because then we really have a problem.
Right.
So kind of like for bomb stuff, please tell me there's a gun in there, and they're usually like, yep, I just tell her good girl and we walk off. So I mean, she always wants to work, and so having to do those odors every few days, go through all 14 does take some time.
Now back home or here in Ohio, we have 3 drug odors and we have 7 explosive odors. Ted, what are you doing in Oklahoma?
Well, we have 3 and 4 odors. We still certify teams on marijuana, even though it's medicinal here, it failed miserably to go recreational, and has nothing to do with the actual drug. It has to do with the way the state ran it, or our medical marijuana board. And then explosive odor, we don't have a state standard for it. We have a state standard certification, but you go to the certifier and you basically certify through a national, and then they take the national and write the state for it. But we do 7 or 9 depending on like what we're doing. And I don't count. I mean, I do count gunpowder, smokeless and double as one of the odors, but it's not. I mean, it's what I start on, but other than that, it's we kind of. Which the other thing that I think we've talked about this with somebody else, with Paul Hammond, I think. He brought up this, guys, that was a long time ago when we had him on. But it always interests me when dudes are explosive handlers and they're constantly training on like TNT and C4 and RDX. And I'm like, the one thing the ATF has managed to do really well is keep that shit out of people's hands. Right. And so you don't like find that very often, but there hasn't been a domestic explosion, a terrorist domestic explosion in the United States that was not HME in how long? Like 15 years or something? 16.
Yeah,
I mean, the Oklahoma City building was HME. I mean, it was AMFO. And I mean, and they've had all kinds. The dude that blew his dick off in the subway, we talked about him with Ellie, and that was ETN. I mean, it was, so there's no, which always floors me. And dudes are like, oh, we only run, and I talk to explosive handlers like, yeah, we only run HME, like a couple times a year during the NORT test. I'm like, what? I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Like, that's what you're gonna find. You're not gonna find dynamite. I mean, you might, but you're not. It's not gonna be very. You're gonna find
the
TATP
probability.
Yeah, I mean,
we're trying to get Ohio to add potassium chlorate in our cert because you can get that easily, and they won't. They didn't do it, but we have RDX, rocket grade explosives. I put out a cast booster for the guys today. That's PETN. And they're like, yeah, we kind of quit even doing these, man, water gel and this, because you're just not going to find it.
They haven't made water gel in 10 years.
Yeah, they stopped 7 years ago. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, it's like, can we get some PC in there, to give me some fireworks shit, something we can do, because we find dynamite. We find dynamite a lot. Old timers from probably construction companies and things like that. We've had. One of my guys had 2 dynamite finds. The other one just last year, I think, had a nice big dynamite find in someone's basement. Crystallized shit, like get the fuck out type. Yeah. That type of stuff. But anyway,
didn't you have somebody find what bomb that they made out of like Clorox and like?
Yeah, the same guy that found that last dynamite. He found 3 explosives last year
in a Walmart or something, right?
Yeah, like outside, out in the back. Okay, but yeah. So,
nah.
So when you start getting into the class with this, so of the 14 odors, some of these you have to teach those 3 different levels because they evaporate. Like, were you like this? I didn't expect this. Like, I thought this was different.
I had I had friends that work for the state and also friends that work for other counties that had ignitable liquid canines or IGL canines. So they told me right up front that it'd have to come this way. So when working on figuring how to make that work is working with the state. So Ember's certified through NAPWADA and the state of Texas. So NAPWADA uses X amount of odors, and then the state adds a few more onto it because they want to classify the dogs inside the state with additional odors. So I get first dual certified.
It's interesting because Texas doesn't have a mandatory patrol or narcotics certification. So what agency or what third party, I guess is what I'm asking, certifies her through the state of Texas? It's the insurance board or whatever.
So TDI. That's on an IGL dog. Now, if you're going for patrol, it's probably IPWADA, NAPWADA, something like that. They use that, and usually they would do a staggered 6 month and probably get both of them in case one laps, which is what we do. So I get her dual certified twice by 2 agencies, not a dual certified dog, but certified twice throughout the year, so that if I don't get her recertified on that exact day again, I don't lose certification.
So for police handlers, I need to clarify that because of this. If you're if you live in a state, like what is there, 10 now? There's 10 states in the country that have a mandatory state certification. I always Oklahoma's one of them. And I always tell my guys, I'm like, okay, you're going to certify with CLEAT, and then in 6 months, pick NAPWADA, USPCA, and then DDA, drug beat. I don't care which one it is. Just pick one and do it. And then 6 months later, you'll recertify with cleat. 6 months later, you do it again.
Right.
And it looks good.
I agree.
So if you're in a area that doesn't have, if you're one of the states that doesn't have the mandatory, I would suggest doing the double anyway. I mean, it's not
100%.
Yeah, it's not hard.
Does
And
Texas
agencies.
require you to go through TDI and do it, or is it just offered?
Yes. So to use labs and stuff for the state of Texas, that we're required to get those. So when we go, I'll go back to where you're talking about being a chemist. I give my odors. We know the exact odors that the state will test on. So we use the same brand. There's usually only 1 or 2 brands that they'll run. Yes, that a lot of brands use the same compound, but we're testing on those so that you can work off of those, light it on fire, let it sit for a day or 2 and come back. And so you're working on the same thing they're testing it on. From Netwada, they give you a list of 4 or 5 companies you can buy that odor from. And they can mix them all together. So they just are like putting them all together to make basically an odor bomb of all those compounds, of all those companies. So it's hard one way or the other, but knowing your dog and the change of behavior and having them, in a odor cloud or something, you can then zoom back in. So you got to think when most people are doing these tests that's on flat ground grass and we're in a building. That's not realistic on how we work. We work in burned buildings, burnt cars, stuff that's to the ground. Everything's black and gray, usually at night. And so it's totally different environment for them.
So let's talk about that. So there's a fire and the investigator's like, yeah, something's up here, man. Talk about what that looks like. Like, how long do you wait? Do you teach a specific search pattern? How does that work? Because a lot of guys are like, well, how is there anything, if it was a bad fire, how is there any odor? Like, how is it not burned up? Like, without giving away any kind of secrets to some weird psycho arsonist that's listening here. How do you work that dog?
I will tell you the gaseous state of the odor is actually the hardest part to find. When it's burnt, the hydrocarbons stick and stay. So that's really the easy part. So when you're running her on an odor that's a liquid that can turn and evaporate, or turn to a gaseous and evaporate very quickly, that's the harder thing to find after 20 and 30 minutes. So if it hasn't been burned, the flip side of that, it has been burned, that's days and days that she can find something. I think I did one of my last ones on my light distillate, which was 3 days later, she found the exact spot. And I'm talking like 1 UL. I don't know if y'all know what that is. That's basically taking a TB dropper, tuberculosis needle, and doing 1 drop and lighting it on fire. So that's lower than what a machine can read. Machine can read 10 ULs. So she's down that far. I'm trying to bring her back up because I don't want to get negatives on a test run by the state, just for documentation purposes. But, you're going through and doing these tests, it's crazy. And so when you're talking about search patterns, now when I initially got her, I was running her on lead all the time. So you got to think, if you're having a fire and it's a room and contents fire, where I'm talking about, picture your house and your bedroom catches on fire. The firefighters go in and put it out. I'm not going to search your garage or your second bedroom right off the bat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take her to that area of origin. I'm going to run her through that, let her go at the door where I originally was running her on lead. I found that she did not like that and she wanted to be her own woman. And so I let her do that. She'll run through there real quick and I need like seconds. She'll come back to the door, look at me, and basically it's that presentation of the dog. If I don't see that change in behavior or she is definitely not alerting, then she's off. I let her run the whole rest of the house. If the house, the majority of it's burnt or whatever, I just let her go. She knows her left and right commands, so I can get her to enter a room. That took a little bit of training, but get her to turn left, go into a room, search that real quick and come right back out. Stuff like that, and she will keep going. Most likely now she just basically sticks her nose into a room, heads off. But we will search every room that's burnt and the exterior of the house, because as you said, you don't want people listening to all this how to do fires. But an arsonist most likely will set a secondary burn point, meaning usually it's outside. So we do an exterior search too. So if they light it inside, come back outside. Usually they're wanting to witness this fire. They don't see it happening as fast as they really want it to. Instead of going back in and endangering themselves, they'll light the exterior of the house on fire. So they'll already put a second, either a trailer or something outside the house to set that back on fire and then leave again. So we do everything around the house, inside the fence, attached to the fence, any building, such like that. So
it's crazy. These weirdos have a lot of similar. There's like patterns, the same ones that you can figure that out. Now, when the fire department's there, they put it out. How long do you have to wait?
And as long as I run a temperature gauge, so I run a thermal gauge, an IR gauge on the product that's been burnt. I try to get it to where it's, cool enough that you would want to put your foot on it. So there's a range that I run her in. She also has booties that she wears. So she does wear those. They don't slow her down at all. There's on her videos, you can see her. She just prances around. She don't even care. I do run those every once in a while. So with working with the crews, the firefighters going in there, most firefighters are known as evidence eradication teams. And what we try to do is trying to change that to preserve the evidence. I don't need you blasting holes in walls that I destroy my flame patterns or my smoke patterns and what was actually burnt and where, like say a dresser or a bed was. I don't need it thrown out the window. So it's trying to keep everything there. And so if there's still areas of concern, I can still get her in there pretty quick. When you're talking about timing, I live within just 30 minutes of the district or so, or usually anywhere that requests me. I try to get there as quick as I can, just so I can see the status of the building or the car, or get pics. I have somebody get pictures to show me, if where flames originated, the type of smoke color, the density of the smoke, the pressure of the smoke. That's all goes into how deep the fire was when it originally there. There's so much that goes into that. It just, I would take over hours and hours to explain that stuff with you, but it's a lot of visual right up front. And Ember is a tool for my toolbox. She's not necessarily the end all be all. She alerts in that area. I am to take a sample, but I need to figure out why she's alerting in that area. That's now up to me as the investigator. She's my tool, performed her work, and now it's my job. Now I drop I usually have another investigator with me, but we drop either a token or something down in that area because I indirect pay her. I don't pay her out on top of the sample that I'm going to take. So I don't need her jamming her nose right into exactly what I'm just going to need to take. But then we continue in the room. So she's paid out. We go outside the room of origin or the area of origin, play with her real quick, come back in. She goes right back over there. I have a redirect, even though I don't want her to get too close to it, redirect her. And she'll search the rest of that room. She'll, again, try to go back over there. She's just that smart, as we know these dogs are. Well, I'll redirect her again, and then we just continue working the rest of even wherever you got to go.
So I know there's people sitting here listening going, but what about the water? What does the hose water do to the accelerant?
So with just straight water, it does, it'll fall through that. It's pretty heavy. And when we're talking about hydrocarbons, unless it's like an AFFF type of foam, we're lifting it out. It won't remove it. Now, when they're used, you see them spray that foam out there. I don't want them to use the foam. My firefighters to use the foam right away. I would like to get my dog in there first, and then they can go back and foam it for your deep-seated fire. So all that foam's doing is taking away the oxygen to the fire. And so when it has water bubbles in it, and then it also starts cooling it. So it makes that blanket over what has been burnt or what is continuing to burn. I don't like to run her through the foam for a few reasons. On one time I did, there was a hole in the floor and she didn't fall through it, but it scared her enough that, dogs work on that. So the, gosh dang, what's the word? Association of, now she's running through this white blanket and something's going to happen. It took me a while to get her back into walking through foam. So she learned really fast. Well, I don't want to be walking through that white stuff because I'm going to fall again. So eliminating that, and that does carry an odor every once in a while. So I don't need that odor being outside in the driveway and be like, well, where was it inside the house? So when we work with those agencies, we let them know about the foam.
Is so has your work with Ember, and then and it's a group effort. There's a lot of other things that they're using involved in all this. Has your work helped lead to some prosecutions?
Yes. We've done quite a bit.
So, and this will be Ted's nerd section. Is what does it look like when you go testify? Do you have to spend so much time explaining to? So we'll do this. How about a suppression hearing? Just you guys and the judge, no jury. Judges don't know shit about shit. They don't know nothing about dogs. They don't know anything about bombs, explosives, drugs, accelerant. How much
a lot
time
of them
do
don't
you
even
have
know anything about law shit. So
right, true. How much time do you have to spend just kind of making them like an on the spot accelerant guy, like they can make an educated guess or a decision? I mean,
yeah, you basically already proving that you're an SME, a subject matter expert on investigations, but also on your dauber. You're going through testifying and such. So you're bringing that CV in that you already have been doing it X amount of time, have done this many cases. You know about how they test the odor, what the odors actually are, the measurements on the odor, the distillate. So you're laying that out exactly, that as a handler or from the chemist portion what the dog is actually looking for, and then how that you recognize that your dog is alerting. Ember, you can watch her stuff. She's got a very distinct alert. The ears all come forward, everything. So it's explaining that. And I go back to the certification. It's not just her certifying, it's me and her. So it's just like in your patrol dogs, you're certified as a team. And that's where you're then proving all the other times you've been certified. And the odors, so you're bringing that in as well, is all the odor and the quantity of odor that she's been tested on over the years. So if you're doing 2 or 3 different companies every year or organizations in your certification, you have that consistency of proof that it's not always the same odor at the same quantity. And it's a little bit lower the threshold than what is actually measured by a machine, because a machine can't read as low as they can smell.
Has anybody ever tried to invent a machine for accelerant detection like that?
I think yes. So I think the state of Texas has one of the most advanced machines for testing, and it still cannot. So you can still do a can test. I can pull stuff, have it ran. You can on purpose fail in the machine, then take it again, put it out. It's been sitting in a can for 4 months, run debris in every single one, and she will hit on the same can. So it is, they cannot remanufacture the dog's nose.
Ted, how much was it that the Army or Department of Defense spent on trying to develop a machine, and then they were like, fuck it, dogs are better?
$40 billion or something. I don't remember. There was an article a while back, and then I have a friend that's a handler for another government organization that's kind of attached to that kind of stuff. And he was like, yeah, they tried. And it was like DARPA was involved, and like the DOD had some people. I think even Michelle and Jenna may have been involved in some part of that. And because at the same time, they had all the other shit that could tell you about all the other dangerous stuff that you shouldn't be messing with either. And the stuff that they were training the dogs to find, they couldn't. And same thing. And part of that whole project was, how to say this, to quickly locate some very specific odors that are related to electronics.
An ESD dog.
Yeah, but these guys were doing something different. But yes, gotcha. And there's 3, and that's the thing. I had a conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago about what they find, and I'm like, well, it's not lithium, so there's that.
Probably used to be.
No, well, I've had some guys who were like, "Oh, we'll just put cell phones out and let them find them." I'm like, fuck me. So I'm like, that's not how we do that.
Nope.
The ones that I've done are that we don't. There's 3. Well, I do a 3 odor ECD, but that's not. And they couldn't get down, like you said, they couldn't get down to a quantity of meaningful amounts, right? Like they got it to the point where I think they could find certain, like one of these certain chemicals, but it was a large amount, and the amount that they could find was enough to cover 700 SD cards, which nobody's going to have. They're looking for one, or an IMME card or whatever.
Porn King of America. Child porn King of America with that shit.
And same thing. Like, I've been selected as random terrorists at the airport and they swab my
Well.
hands and do whatever else. So it's kind of the same thing. And I don't know what the thresholds are on those because they won't tell you. But it's enough that I've handled a firearm and then gone straight to the airport and popped hot for a GSR, and I'm like, oh well. So there's that.
So have you ever come across a defense attorney that knew anything?
So they'd read it. So they try to read what's called NFPA 921. It has to do with investigations and such. And they try to read the chapter associated with dogs, and they try to come across like they understand that they know what they're talking about. But then, it's like you can tell you've never been a handler. You don't understand how dogs work or learn. So let me explain it to you as best I can in the layman's terms. And you're not trying to make them sound stupid, but you kind of have to get it down.
No, you absolutely should.
Yeah.
No,
It's like,
no.
I mean, this dog
100%.
lives and walks 2 feet from me every day. I mean,
Right.
it's not like I see this dog once a month or once every 6 months. I mean, it's the character traits of a dog, of your partner, 2 feet away from you all day long.
We run into the similar side on the narcotic stuff because, the same arguments get recycled a bunch. And it's always interesting to hear like what some of the like I would say the uneducated like attorneys would say, and even the ones that proclaim to be educated are not in what we're talking about anyway. And it's always interesting to see. So like if you come in as obviously the prosecutors, like SME, are there guys that do the dark work too? That do the opposites? I mean, I'm sure there has to be.
Expert witnesses for the defense that try to debunk what you're doing.
So they'll say, well, a part of that, and I'll go to that. This portion is like carpet. So you put the glue down and you put the padding in your carpet. So there's products of combustion in that glue that mimic an accelerant or one or two accelerants that she's trained on. It'll come in, well, this carpet glue is X blah blah, all the Ileens and oxides, blah 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 in the carpet glue. How do you know that that's not it? I said, because I still what's called discrimination, which y'all know about that, and proofing off an odor is I cut sections of carpet and the glue, put those in a tin, then also burn a section of it, or burn a section that doesn't have any odor on it, put an odor on the same piece within, it's cut in half, burn it and put it in a can, and we discriminate between the two. So she's looking for the pure odor, that somebody poured there or dropped there or splashed there, not the combination of all those odors that's burnt in the glue, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100% it makes sense.
So we're talking, you're talking your 4 or 5 odors for a narc dog, and they're just looking for that. You really can't mix that up. And you got that, you as the handler and the dog, it's immediate reward for y'all. Because you can actually see it's there. You get it out. If, the dog alerts and it's there in your hand, you reward the dog. With Ember and any IGL dog, you're looking at between a week and 4 months to get your result back. And so you have to be on par exactly with how this dog alerts, and so spot on with how you train with them.
This is a super interesting conversation because in a social media group online there, and this has been going on forever in law enforcement on the narcotics side. There are still guys in this country that are like, never pay your dog on a traffic stop because you're not sure if they're right.
Yeah, they'll say that.
And they will say that, which makes it on body cam, which makes it fucking worse. But you said, right, like you can get them out and then you get like, it's an immediate reward, right? So I'm always like shocked when I hear someone say that. And it makes me think a lot of things that aren't good, but it definitely doesn't make me think that they understand what they're looking at.
Right. So you put that in my realm. I pay my dog every time and I have no clue.
Exactly.
I say in a real world, I do have a clue. As a layperson, you would think I have no clue, but knowing my dog and how much we train, and she's only faked on me. That's why you train so much in a controlled environment, burnt stuff, putting it on couches, burning, fabrics, clothing. You're doing all this so that you realize that this dog is going to present the same to you every time. And when that doesn't happen in a non-controlled environment and a dog's acting differently, it should alert you as a handler a few things. It's like maybe the odor's deeper. She'll dig for it. So she'll go down the change of behaviors there, or it's something of interest. She'll look at me, and I keep moving, and she's like, "No, that's not it," and goes. So I would still look at that area, dig that out, but I'm not going to take her back to that, reinforce that odor that she kind of questioned real quick and moved on. And so as we're thinking about that, and as you start thinking about meth and cocaine, which has gasoline and acetone in it, I do have to run her off of those two narcotics because she does pick up the derivatives of how both of those drugs were in the infantile state of them being created. So I had to proof her off that. Something I didn't know or even my buddies, they never told me that. When I go run her right after a narc dog and she alerts, this was 2 years ago. I'm like, whoa, hold on. What? And then it's like, okay, how'd they make this drug? So then now when my buddies run the drugs real quick, they're just say, hey, come over. We're running meth and cocaine. Okay. I run her over there. I set out another odor further away. I run her right past that odor, basically, presenting, along the line of a crack where I know it is, passes it right up now. So I don't need her alerting to those two odors.
It's interesting
meth
you
and
say
cocaine.
that. I have a bomb dog who's not retired. Excuse me. He was at a university, and they got a positive alert on a car. They were just normally screening at a football game, and it is one of the largest universities in the country. And of course, everybody freaked out. They found 1/4 pound of weed in the car, and they're like, why would this dog alert to weed? And I'm like, I don't know, and this is before marijuana was recreational or medicinal or whatever status it is now. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. That's odd. So they sent it to the lab, right? It's at the lab for like ever, and it had traces of ammonium nitrate on it because it's the fertilizer. And I was like, oh, that'll do it, especially in a high enough quantity because we have dogs. There's a Treasury report that U.S. Treasury says that 95+% of all bills in circulation over a certain denomination have trace amounts of cocaine and heroin on them. And a large enough amount, you can get dogs to alert on it, or dogs will alert on it, right? So because it's odor, it's still there. But it's interesting because we had, when you told that, I was like, yeah, I've got some experience with this too. I had it. Well, it's not one of my handlers, but somebody semi-local, kind of had to stop, and they had an alert on the car. This is a narcotics dog. They had an alert on a car, and this is strictly for narcotics, right? Because narcotics dogs are the only ones that we ever talk about that are strictly there just to mess up people's Fourth Amendment, right? This is a warrantless search of a vehicle because of the automobile exception. We don't need a judge involved, and we're doing it based on the ability of the dogs to detect the odors that they're certified to detect. So the dogs, if you're listening to this, your dog can and will alert if there is odor but no presence of. Having the presence of versus the odor of is two fundamentally different legal principles. But this guy, they get an alert and they don't find anything. And they're fucking dope heads. So they obviously had something in the car. There wasn't enough to even test. So there wasn't even a trace. They said, why did the dog alert? Like, why did you pull us out of the car? And instead of being like, here's your citation, have a nice day, he was like, well, you had antifreeze in the trunk, which, by the way, it's a fucking car. That's where it belongs. Yeah. And it's using an ingredient in methamphetamine. That's why the dog alerted. And I wanted to bang my head against the fucking table because I'm like, no, that is not what you tell people. That is not correct, and that is a fucking lie, and you don't owe those people an explanation. Shut the fuck up. But I almost lost my shit when I heard it. But it does, you paint a very good picture, because Eric and there's a big thing in law enforcement canine right now about records, and we should anyway because of Florida versus Harris, but records and what you're documenting, what you're not documenting, how you're documenting it. And it's always weird to me because narcotics handlers will work way more than you do. Just based on that's their job, right? Especially the interdiction guys, because that is their job. And it's always shocking, but generally those guys are really good. But it's always shocking to me when handlers don't document that stuff. Like, are you documenting, like you running? Because I'll hide Newports, and just because they're Newports, so I don't have them. They're not mine, but they are mine. I don't smoke them, but I put Newports out all the time for dogs to walk because inevitably, and I always put them in a Crown Royal bag that has never had dope in it. So inevitably those dogs are going to come across it like all the time. And for all of my 3 odor dogs, I make them blind walk marijuana multiple times, several times a month, and then tell them after the fact. So they document it. Like, so because inevitably, like what you just said, right? Like, oh, how do you know the carpet didn't burn? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, how do you know the dog didn't alert to marijuana? And you're like, well, because he does it in training. So and he's not certified to do it. So that's why. They're like,
I'll follow that up with
okay.
I'll follow that up with two things. So one is I do any tests that we do, meaning not tests, but training. I document the amount of odor. I have a micro pipette, so I pull out my odor. I know exactly the quantity I'm pulling out. So when I go, I do the address, all the pertinence to weather, wind, direction, relative humidity, daylight, nighttime, cloud cover. I document all that. Every odor I put out, even if it's multiple at the same day, it's just all listed at the same location, and all those odors listed out. So when you're saying when I go to trial, that's what I bring to is all that record of every day. It's broken down by lump of every day that I've gone. So I keep records of that. Another one we bring up on the marijuana is that's just a really potent odor depending on the type of marijuana. So a dog's like, oh shit, what is that? It's something different. So your slight change of behavior just because they're, interested in that odor. So that brings me to a point as I was running through a school that requested me to do a sweep for I can't tell Ember to look for accelerants or gun parts and smokeless powder, but she will, when I give her command, we go work it. So we going through all these groups of kids, and she noses up to a kid's backpack, and they have a clear backpack policy, and she alerts. Well, he's like, "Whoa!" Goes to move the bag. Well, she lunges forward again because she's trained to odor. She's not going to just be in an area. She puts her nose directly on it, so she keeps banging this kid's backpack, and so we pull the backpack off of her. First, we pulled. I had one of the police departments for the ISD with me as well. We start pulling this, or they start pulling the stuff out of the backpack, found a bag of marijuana. He's like, your dog alerted on marijuana. And I was like, ain't no way. I've run her on this. She's walked right by it. He's like, well, that's all we got in here. And I was like, there's got to be something else. And so start digging a little more. There was a magazine with about 10 bullets in it, sitting wrapped up in a shirt in the bottom of it. He had reached down far enough, just saw the shirt and stopped. And I was like, that's what she was after. And I said, what we're going to do is we're going to set this back out, and we're going to have her walk right past this marijuana and see what she does. And if she walks right past it and goes straight to that magazine, with 100%, all on body camera, we put it back out. She walked right past the marijuana, and bam, alerted right on that magazine. And I said, that's what she was after. She's not after that marijuana. And so that's, it's that smell, but they jumped to the conclusion that is exactly what she was going for. And I was like, I know to the certainty that is not what she's going for. So it's knowing your dog again, back to that again.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and take our second commercial break. We come back. I got a couple questions for Ryan, and we'll talk a little bit of a couple other things. But stick around, guys. Check the show notes if you fast forward through the commercials. We have a lot of great sponsors. We really appreciate you guys, checking them out. I know we burn up that Ray Allen discount code probably every 1 year and a half. They got to change it. Kinetic Dog Foods, their new 24K, that training food. Ted and I started talking about it, and he is busted up production. Like, he's had to really keep it going. So you guys are wonderful, and we love that you support the folks that sponsor us. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to us for the past 6 years. It would not be possible without our sponsors. And one of our longest time sponsors, in fact, our longest time sponsor, is Tactical Police Canine, Aaron and Jason Ferguson. They are amazing. They've been amazing to us, and they are amazing to this industry. They have a new online series that is for law enforcement only. And law enforcement guys, you know how important it is to keep up on your practices and your education. This one is for you. It's a canine criminal interdiction series, and it is literally for you guys to expand your knowledge on canine usage during traffic stops and interdiction work. It's going to cover things like roadside interview techniques, identifying traps and hidden compartments, related case law and record keeping strategies. You name it, it is in this course, and you need to have it. If you go to their website, tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com, and you use their discount code NARC, all caps, you will get 20% off any of their online courses. Check them out. Dogtra. We use so many Dogtra products that it's hard to even tell you where we begin. All of our canine get a Dogtra e-collar. We use the 1900 black, and all of our pets get a 200C. All of our canines use bark collars. We have their ball training systems. We've even bought a quail launcher from them. We use bungee collars. You name it. If it goes on your dog's neck, we get it at Dogtra. Dogtra has been great to us through the years. We love their sponsorship. We love their products. I order them every single week. If you go to dogtra.com, you can use the discount code WDR10. You'll get 10% off a single item over $200. You can also check out Dogtra Official for their socials and follow them there and see what other products that they're coming out with, because they innovate every day. Dogtra.com. Specs Canine. I'm so excited that these guys came aboard. I stocked them for years. Yes, I did, and unapologetically so. They make amazing products. I love nothing more than seeing a tiny little Chihuahua wearing the googly eye Specs. But they don't just make fun products. They make serious products that actually help dogs. These Spec goggles have a UV rating of 400. They keep the UV rays off of your dog's eyes. They also protect your dog from getting debris, dust, dirt, sticks, seeds, rocks, anything in their eyes. And then something that Ted and I use at the kennel every single week without fail is Specs Ear Pro. You slide it over the dog's head. It's easy to use. And most importantly, it actually protects your dog's hearing. You guys can check them out. If you have a search and rescue dog, a pet dog, an active dog, a service dog, a hunting dog, go to rexspecs.com, check out all their products. Specs Canine on the socials. If you use Working Dog Radio, all lowercase, on their website as a discount code, you will get 20% off. American Aluminum has been in business since 1992. They have been making so many things for law enforcement. It is not even funny. They make great things for the canine industry, such as canine inserts that actually saves dogs' lives in wrecks, and much, much more. I don't know if you guys listened to the episode on Canine Corporal, but please do so. It is an amazing episode that really talks about the value of what their products do. American Aluminum makes things that you might not even know that they make, like inmate transport systems, canine training aids, canine inserts, contraband containment, animal control systems, and the list goes on. American Aluminum makes great products here in America, and it is a fantastic company to get to know. You can call them at 800-277-0869. You can get a quote if you go to quotes at aaa-mail.com and ask them for a quote. They will be glad to oblige. Please tell them that we sent you. Arno at ALM Canine Equipment has been one of our longest time friends. 13 years ago, Arno made a suit for Ted. We call it his Whoopee, and he still has this suit, and it is still the only suit that he wears. We have had this thing re-sleeved about 6 times. It's ridiculous. It smells like a dead body, and he wears it all the time, much to my chagrin. But it is just a testament to how amazing of a product that Arno makes. He comes up with his own color combinations. You can get something custom. He hand sews it. Reach out to him at almcanineequipment.com. Check him out on Instagram at almcanineequipment. If you guys need a canine containment system, otherwise known as a kennel, if you need one or you need many, you need to reach out to Horizon Structures. Horizon makes anything that you can think of, from mild to wild. You can customize their kennels from the ground up. And the best part is, when they are done, they will drive it to your location. They will set it on your pad, and you plug this thing in, and it is ready to add dogs to immediately. Anything that you can think of in a kennel, Horizon Structures can make it happen. We've seen them. They are beautiful. If you go to Horizon Structures and check them out on the socials, if you can call them 888-447-4337, or check them out online, horizonstructures.com. They always have something cool going on. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned. We have so many amazing things happening.
All right, everybody, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. Eric Stamber and Ted Summers with Ryan Smith and Canine Ember. Pretty good episode, man. I like it. It's been pretty cool. What I do get from this is I'm fucking glad that I told the chief that I was not going to do that dog.
I'm sitting here listening, thinking, I'm going to go download these standards and I'm going to start trying to sell some of these motherfuckers.
Burning shit. You just want to burn some stuff. So
yeah.
So
I'm going to call Jeff Leon at TFT and be like, hey.
Yeah, buddy. All the shit you got to do, all this training to just, the police department even know who you are? Like, you ever fucking show up at the police department?
Me? Oh yeah. I do patrol. So
okay.
I love doing
How?
that. So I do this all the time in the day.
Do you drive the fire truck or the police car?
No, I for patrol I do police car. I have my own pickup truck with a cage in it for the fire department.
So everybody I've ever talked to that's been in the fire department for a long time, they're in a position where there's, supervision or the driver of the supervision or whatever, and they're not fighting fires for a long time. They say the first time that they have to throw all that shit on, they're sucking bottles down. Like they can't even remember. You look like you're in decent shape, but if you had to throw that shit on right now in an active fire, would you be like, this sucks?
Nope. I continue in my organization. I still continue to do the physical assessment and the CPAP. So I make my crews be like, beat me. And so staying physically fit is important to me and my organization. So my last set that I put on actually was last week. So it's just
nice.
Here, I'm running the bottle, everything in mask, and yes, with this, throwing a mask on.
Gary from Worthless Handlers standing up clapping right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's one of his things. Aside from loving admins, is like don't be a fucking asset, and that's one of Gary's deals, man. Like and that's his thing. Like he was like, if he was an admin at a police department, aside from probably allowing facial hair and tattoos, if you ever met Gary, you know why.
Yeah, no, I know. I've seen him. Yeah, but
he would be like, I would make it mandatory that you have to pass a physical assessment every year.
Yeah, I believe
so
that's
if
true.
He's listening, he's like, golf clap.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't know what he's doing, but
in the city that I worked in, every time there's a big substantial fire, there's at least one guy that retires. Because he's like, man, I've been up in the Nobel Hotel for a long time. This is fucking bullshit. I hadn't had to do this in 2 years, 3 years. Some guys, based on, the 24 on, the way things work, they just don't have to hit that many fires. Then they hit one and their fat ass is like, this, almost like I didn't sign up for this. You actually signed up for it 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Dude. So.
Yeah. No, that's about
and shit's gotten lighter too.
Years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You guys have fucking carbon fiber tanks and shit now.
Yeah. Well, when I first started, we had the steel bottle. Well, we had the surprise air or survive air. We call it surprise air because you never knew when it was going to stop. But you had the trunks and everything. And so, man, that shit got hot and evolving into, a carbon composite bottle, which were a lot lighter. You can last a lot longer. But, now in true carbon fiber wrapped or whatever bottles, and they're super light. But, I mean, all that gear all together is, is an extra 50 pounds. Just the boots alone are 8 pounds. So, it's a lot of work, but, if you lead by example, you hope that everybody else stays physically fit and able to do the job as well.
That's freaking great. Now, most of these fires that you're going to are just morons with gasoline.
So if you think about it, it's probably going to be the most readily available accelerant that you can find, or a liquid you can find. So one of those 14 is going to be gasoline and diesel and whatever derivatives of those. So whether it be one with or without the ethanol. So those are things you have to consider, and the smell, and I mean even all the way down into fingernail polish type chemicals. So you just go to there's other ignitable liquids, don't get me wrong, but it's going to start costing you some money to get those. So we know all. Most criminals are just going to try to get what they can get their hands on. It's usually going to be the cheapest shit. So, getting
What's
it
the most
out there.
sophisticated one you've seen?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it seems like these things fall into two camps. Like one, which is I'm gonna do this super fast, fuck this dude,
Yeah.
I'm gonna burn his trailer down.
Yeah.
And then the other ones are meant to hide something or meant to conceal or something. So there's a significant amount of planning that happens.
Right. So when that comes into play, I think you're looking at the distillate levels, so the light to a heavy distillate. So I'll say light would be like your lamp oil. So you think of that, it's like, oh, it's clear, very, I say thin, meaning, if you go to diesel being a heavy distillate, it's very slippery, it's like got color to it. You can almost feel a texture. So the lighter distillate would be something that they would go to that would burn hotter and not create a plume of smoke, so have the less carbon in it. And again, when we talk about the hydrocarbons, the burnt product, that's what she's actually looking for. So a diesel would have more carbon available than a lamp oil, because it's going to burn clearer and hotter. So that's, the window is in between there. So you have 12 other liquids between those two that I gave you. So you would try to get something that's clearer, burns hotter, and burns faster, which are those lighter distillates.
Is there such thing as like a professional arsonist, like for insurance stuff? Like
You
somebody
know
who
that-
would really do their research?
Yeah, so I mean, there's books available that you could do that, figure out how to do it. But you're most likely, if it's going to be somebody's trying to get away with it with insurance stuff, they're going to try to do it electrical or something without getting stuff examined by an X-ray machine. That's, I can't detect now from investigation side is what we do as a human. I can do that. Ember doesn't detect that by any means, and so that's up to us as an investigator to go through all those, have that knowledge, have those classes, have that experience to learn how those fires were started. Like in a coffee pot that's been rigged and stuff like that, because how stuff burns, you can kind of assemble it back together. Regardless of how much of it burns, you can still get portions that you can find that's been manipulated. It just takes some time. Some of these, I can get in and out with, in 2 hours, and some of them I'm on for 10 or 11, 12 hours, digging the house all the way down to the concrete, because what burns in a concrete stays in a concrete. So it depends on the amount of product. If I get it and expose the concrete and dry that concrete out, I can get, if I still pull concrete, I pull brick. If they throw stuff on a brick, she alerts on brick, I'm cutting it out. I got a chisel, and I'm pulling stuff off and putting it in the can. And I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever I can fit in an evidence bag, and some of them I can fit half a couch in, and seal that up and take it. But I'm going to try to get it in a 1 gallon can or multiple 1 gallon cans. So you'll find it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So I know you've done a shitload of cases. Just give everybody like one case that you're like, fuck yeah, man, that was like the best. Whether it resulted in like a serious prosecution or it was a difficult thing that you had to deal with or whatever.
Well, I'd say one of the recent ones we did for a city, a car fire that came out, and just what transposed from that. We came and looked at it. We got requested by that city and that fire department out there. They said, well, we don't know what happened at the infantile of this case. We don't know what happened, but the car was sitting there in a lot and XYZ, and then it was called into the fire department. It was on fire. So we confiscated the car, moved it, put it in a secure lot. And so they were like, here, come out and we want you to run it. So cars are kind of difficult when you think about it from the aspect. Everything in that, I can think of 5 odors that she's trained on a car that are present in a vehicle all the time. So when I get called on a car, I need the year, make, and model. And then I find all the fuel rails. I found what type of transmission fluid that's in it, where the gas tanks at, where the fuel rails run on the motor, anything that would potentially, so if it's electric car, where all my high voltage runs, because she goes in a car. I don't need that still to be engaged. So this is on the back end, or prior to going to the call, I'm already doing this research. We get there, running all the fuel rails. I have a database that I can look that stuff up in. So we're going. So if she actually alerts on those areas, it's not saying that the odor, that's not a correct odor. She's again trained to one of those 14 odors. She alerts, she's paid out. Now that's up to me as an investigator to confirm or rule out that is a fuel rail that busted. We do an examination of the whole car before I run her. is I'm looking under the car, if I can get under the car, to see if the fuel rail's still intact. I'm looking at the motor to where everything comes up the back end of it to know she will jump on the motor and alert on the motor. So again, it's those things that I'm looking at to certainly not discredit what she's doing, but I need to, as the human, understand that odor is present in that area. But when we do go around it and she alerts on a wheel well or a frame, when she puts her nose directly on that frame, and you're like, okay, I pay her out on that, I need to know why an odor is there on that frame. Did something explode? So again, not making her be wrong. We're scraping stuff and putting that in a bag that we can get enough off of it, or we're looking for heat that's not consistent across the frame. So like it had a high heat in a trail or something, so it looked like something was poured over a hood or something, the firewall and such like that. So a lot goes into the car. So we go out there to that car, do that full examination prior to running her, get her out, break her, have her go to the bathroom before we start searching. Get up to the car. When she puts her vest on, I do only run her in a vest. So we only train in a vest and work in a vest. When she's not in that vest, we don't work. So that vest goes on, 180-degree different dog. Tail starts going. When she smells that smoke, we can even drive up to it. And if she smells something that was burning, man, the stiffness of the back happens, the legs, and then the tail just goes. She's ready to work. We get out, position her in front of the car. I usually let her go. I start at the passenger side front, depending on which way the wind is going. As you know, on most dogs, you're trying to get downwind of it. In the cars, I try to get to, because there's so much debris in there, and want her to run. Don't want her getting all down in the debris. I'll start at the front on my windward side and work back. So if she passes the odor, we come right back to it. So I'm trying to minimize the exposure that she's getting in that odor downwind, rather than starting her on the tail end of the car and keep coming forward. So get her in those areas. So this one worked with the investigator from that police department, the fire department, ran her, started with the door shut. Basically, we went through the front door, passenger side, and then the rear door. Man, she just started trying to get through that door right away. I was like, okay, there's something here. Now she's not alerting. It's that change in behavior. I see the ears start coming forward. She's not alerting, but man, she's just trying to get through that door. So we popped the door open. Man, it was straight in there on the seat, between, the seat and the door where that would have shut. Alert right there. Sat there, got some pictures for the investigation, basically nose pointing right at where it was. Pay her out of that. We're shutting the door back again. Take her around the corner, get her toy back, play with her for a minute, come back, and I'm starting now. I come around the other side, so I'm wanting to now come upwind. So if she now doesn't come up to anything from that point, I know that's my only odor on that side. We came around the back side, jumped in the trunk of the car. It was not burnt, but circled that, jumped right back out, and then started making it around to the other side, or to the side that she originally alerted on the back seat of that car. Redirected her back up the driver's side. We go through the back door. She hits the back door, hits all the creases, because I did it with the door shut on purpose. And then I was going to run her through the inside. Door creases, hits the front door again, trying to go through the front door of that car. Open the door, bam, right in between the seat and the door frame. And then when you get the pictures of that, pull her back out, open the back door, get her to jump up in the back of the car. She starts around there, trying to get her to locate, directly positioning her to the center console area, pointing out those areas. She just looks at me and like, okay, jumps back out. Go finish the rest of that. What's cool about that is I don't have the investigators tell me any cause of, they just say, hey, I just suspect this. So I don't want to go in with a bias of, somebody put an accelerant here, or they put gas here, or we know that they put gas there. We didn't know any of that at that time. So it pointed out those two areas. So we went back as the investigation side of it, as the human side of it, and examined those areas, including the back side of the door where your door panel would be. And pulling the portions of the panel out, you can see where the fire went up behind inside the door and and warped that metal. And you would have not known that by just opening a door, look at it. But now I have a dog that my trained dog that is alerting, my canine is alerting on an area. And I'm searching that whole, in that vicinity. Of course, pulling all that sample. So you're filling up a 1 gallon container. So we did that in both and got all the pictures that we needed to. But so when you're saying what's notable is I said, I feel that what happened here, where she was alerting on the back seat and the front seat, that somehow there was a ignitable liquid that was passed through this car from the front to the rear, front driver to the rear passenger. It wasn't dropped in the center. I don't know why it wasn't. But then as we were continuing to look through it, I found a piece of glass that I'm like, well, this isn't consistent with doing vehicle fires. So I'm IAAI investigator, so certified in motor vehicles. I pull this piece of glass. I don't feel that this piece of glass was part of this car. It's the wrong color. It looks like a melted Choco Chico glass. And so I just found it odd. So we did take pictures of that and such. Day later, go to find out that it was all caught on, found some camera footage. They got the subpoena for the footage. They actually found the individual going and breaking into this car with a brick. We did find a brick or a little piece of rock in the car, and getting in the front door, leaning in. You can't really see anything, and then he comes back out, and within about 10 seconds, you see the car go up and fire. Again, police officer pulls up and then has it in the camera footage there on his car. Didn't recognize that they actually caught the individual getting in doing certain things on the camera of the police car. So we're reviewing all this back. So I see you shake your head. You're like, what? It's like the one in a freaking billion. So it's like, it's weird because usually you would be like, hey, I got this guy. He did this. We saw him. And so it's the 100% reverse of how you would actually prosecute going through an investigation. So we're like, here, I got an accelerant. I got a glass that's not supposed to be here. So then we get the individual, find where he works, search his work vehicle, because that's what he ended up coming in. She didn't find anything in that vehicle. I did run her through the work vehicle in the areas that the individual would be sitting. But going through the whole thing, and we ended up getting him a warrant for his arrest, got him arrested, and he basically in the area of what Ember had located and what we had as investigators came out to look for is that he went and went in the passenger side door and just blew it and the gasoline around, which he purchased in a Topo Chico glass.
Oh, nice. That's crazy, man.
So,
dude, that guy's got the worst fucking luck ever.
Seriously,
the worst luck ever.
Come on, man.
I know you say it's like, what's the most? I just find it hilarious in many ways, but ironic in many ways. So it's just like, what's the fucking luck of that? So
yeah.
All of my guys' stories revolve around people not wearing their own pants and ending up with narcotics.
It's not mine. It's not mine.
Right.
How did this get here?
This is doing as a cruiser just happens to be.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They pulled up and he on it.
I'm telling you, I tell everybody with Ring doorbell cams and shit, you ain't get ready.
Ring has solved more crime.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, one of my departments had an ATM stolen, and they were dragging it down the street. By the way, my dog tracked these guys, and you can see them tracking, and they're following the scrape marks on the ground, right? But once they stole a forklift from another place, loaded this thing up into another truck, put the forklift back. And
they put it back.
Well, they put the forklift back and then made it look like it had never been stolen. And the only reason is because the dog tracked over to this fence, and my handler's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? This is locked up. There ain't nothing over here, right? Like, what's wrong with you?" And
trust your dog.
Well, so my patrol handlers are looking for criminals, right? And like fresh criminals at this point. And he's like, "Dude, this is a locked gate. Like, what's wrong with you?" And so I guess one of the investigators on a hunch was like, "What'd you say your dog did?" And they went over there and they're like, "Yeah, it turns out the forklift got moved." And they looked at the security footage and somebody broke in, stole it, moved it. Or they don't know what they did with it. Of course, what had come out is they loaded the thing up into the back of another truck. But the dog tracked the person that stole the forklift and back, but they stole it and put it back. I was like, no shit. But same thing, like there's ring cam footage of the dog, like of a safe being dragged down the street or not a safe, but like an ATM.
Yeah.
And then, half an hour later, like my dog team, like rolling down the street, you can
Yes.
watch like as it goes by.
that's
I'm like,
awesome.
Neighbor after neighbor after neighbor
Yeah.
sequencing in
Yeah.
a row. So,
Yeah.
so real quick,
Well,
let's talk about like how people can. This is a very, very interesting episode. You're gonna have a lot of people
Yeah.
reach out and talk to you.
No
I
shit.
appreciate it.
Give your socials, man. Like, where can they get a hold of you?
Well, her Ember's page is on Facebook and Instagram, or canine.ember, canine.ember.
Letter K number 9.
Correct. No
Yep.
spaces in between those. So
Yep.
on Facebook and Instagram, we do some funny stuff every once in a while. It's hard for me to get stuff of actually working because a lot of them are criminal cases that I can't post right away. So, but
Yeah.
I do like to show her training and what she's able to find.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I just got on there and made sure I followed on there.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
On it. We'll try to get you. See if we can't get you some good followers on there. Ted, what about you?
Torchlight Canine, letter K number 9. Torchlight Pets. If you want to see we have a cattle dog right now that he sweats gravy. He's a big old boy, and we've had him here before. He's a cool dog, but he's now resource guarding and smoking people. Yeah,
Cattle dogs love to bite.
And this one, his name's Ranger. He's awesome.
Ranger.
When he sits in his bed, he has his bed in his kennel. He sits there and just looks at me, and he's got his like big old neck rolls, and I'm like, bro, you need it. Can I put your ass on the treadmill? So Torchlight Pets is where you can watch me fat shame dogs. HRD Police Canine on Instagram and Facebook. We've got 3 more of those. We're going to West Virginia, Pennsylvania, or outside of Philly, with USPCA, outside of Minneapolis, USPCA, and then we're going back to Moundsville. And hopefully we don't get any possessions this time like we did last time. It's fucking Sean. And then obviously working_dog_radio for Working Dog Radio. So E, what about you?
Cool. Van S Canine on Instagram, Van S Canine Academy on Facebook. Hey, go to Instagram especially if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, and see if this might be backwards on the picture. No. But I started a little brand called Tap Daddy.
Nice.
It's Tap Daddy BJJ on Instagram. I got stickers made for all belt levels. Brown and black should be here this week, but blue belt, white belt, purple belt. If you want one, they're pretty cool, man. They're like the blue belts are 4-inch stickers. The other ones are 3-inch stickers. Just email me or message me on Van S Canine on Instagram. I'll send you one out. I'll send you a couple if you want. If you go to your gym, I'm eventually going to do shirts and kind of make it like a brand. Get maybe some competitions and hand shit out and make some rash guards and stuff like that. But I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I have a lot of things that I start and get busy with fucking dogs. I don't finish.
When's your next seminar?
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. I'm going to Jacksonville, Florida in the middle of July, and then I'm teaching at Jeff Meyer that was with Hits. He left and he started his own thing, Colorado Canine Conference.
Yeah,
and it's the last week of July into August. There's still a few slots available. It's a working conference, so we're going to do classroom, and then you go break out and do work. There's a bunch of different instructors there. My class, basically my conflict resolution, removing conflict from your training and using the e-collar to correct problems created by the e-collar, is this keynote class. So I'm the first one. I'm going to speak the first night, and then the next day everybody gets to do classroom. It's going to be cool, man. I'm gonna like it's outside of Denver. It's the first year for it. I hope it works out really well for him. But check out Colorado Canine Conference. And again, if you can get there and bring your dog and you want to work your dog, he's got slots available. I just talked to him the other day. He said it's filling up, but there's always room. So,
hell yeah.
Yep, check it out, man. Well, Ryan, this was awesome, dude.
Yeah. Like I said, this is an episode I've wanted to do for a long time, but there's got to be less than 100 accelerant dogs in the country.
I'd be way less. Yeah, way less.
I mean, so they're not very forthcoming about. Nope. I found some trainers that did them. Like I know Brad really well.
Yeah.
But I'm like, nobody wants. I mean, we need to have Brad on, but nobody wants to talk to him about that. So, I'm like. Yeah, no, we're gonna talk about pace setter and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad we ran across you, man. This has been an episode for a couple years. For a couple years, I've been looking for an accelerant handler, and for whatever reason, Justin Melnick sent me your thing. Shout out to Melnick again.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, he's you know.
Do you know Justin?
Do you know Justin?
Ryan?
No, I don't.
He's the no,
I just said thanks.
he's a cop in Indiana, but he's also what the hell is he's gonna shoot me if he hears this because I can't
SEAL
remember
team.
it. Yeah, he's on SEAL team on the TV show. He's the canine
dog handler on the TV show SEAL team.
Brock.
Nice.
Brock, that's his name. Shit. He would get so mad. But anyway, Pepper, I trained Pepper and Dita, Dustin Winter and I did for the show. Dustin's out in SoCal in San Diego. But he was like, dude, you should have this guy on. And I watched, and the video that I watch is you putting like a tiny drop of something on somebody's boot.
That real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So
yeah, so let me explain the video real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
What you see is like Ryan putting like taking a dropper and putting a tiny amount on somebody's boot, and then Ember crushing it. And I'm like, what kind of witch doctor shit is this?
Yeah,
like, what am I watching?
That video I think is about 3-point-something million views. I don't know how many shares it's got, but that one went crazy. And most of the comments are, why does this guy have a gun? But you can read those. I just laughed.
That was my side of it too.
I asked, we were going to do some training with my firefighters that day, and I was like, here, I just want to run Ember when I have all my fire crews on that engine there that day. I was like, hey, I want to put a drop on your boot. And he's like, okay. And then I said, then we're going to move you and put you in a line. So when you watch her go down that line, so you see me originally put the drop on the dock. That's 1 UL on that boot, just one little drop. Well, I moved him down the line. So as you see her go down that line, if you look, there's a light or a dark spot on the concrete. You see where she stops, goes back, and it's like, you see a slight change in behavior, but she keeps going. That's where he was originally standing. And what she got in was that there was no wind that day. She got in that odor cloud, but couldn't find the source and kept moving. So she gets all the way down. There were still more people in the line. She gets to his boot. You see that her foot tapped that boot, looking at it and stared and got paid out. Man, my PIO filmed that day. It wasn't even, I was just like, well, I'll make a little quick video. And I can't believe that thing just blew up like that.
That's on your Instagram?
Yeah, it's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram.
How far down is it? I'm just scrolling through.
I saw.
It's pretty far down there.
Okay, I'm gonna find it.
Just probably a year ago.
Okay, I'm gonna find it and share it on my social media.
That's pretty awesome.
And we'll say, hey, this is the dude we just recorded with. So.
Yeah, because I saw that and I was like, because I've been looking for an accelerant handler forever, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is the accelerant handler. I was like, where the fuck is this guy? So I quickly asked around. I was like, oh, okay. And so I was like, fuck, I'll just send him a DM. And you're like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And so then we've had to go back and forth. But
yeah, sorry, I had to
no,
the last one, but
you're a cop and a firefighter. You have an excuse.
So well.
Right. All right, man.
Appreciate it very much.
Yep. This will be out in August, I believe, probably.
Yeah.
Well, maybe end of July. But we'll there's a couple of episodes ahead of it, but it should be good, man. I really like it. We'll come up with a clever name for it.
Well, I would like to just give a shout out to Canines for Cops and Pacesetter, Brad at Pacesetter for doing, Canines for Cops for being able to donate dogs around the country. They work off donations as well as caninescops.org, canines4, the number 4 cops.org, and then Brad at Pacesetter and all their crew that helped train her and stuff. They did an amazing job. So I wouldn't have a dog without those individuals and our sponsor that sponsored her. So I thank them very much.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, man. Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you on the next episode. Remember, like and subscribe on YouTube, please.
YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right.
See you guys.